Is anyone shocked at all that news just broke that Steve Spagnuolo, the interim, the interim, made up a new word, head coach of the New York Football Giants, saying that their man is going to be Eli Manning heading into this Sunday? I'm not shocked. I know you aren't either, as here we go. Unbelievably crazy Wednesday. Everybody out in the LA area in the fire zone, please be safe. The pictures and videos just beyond holy bleep. When you're just scanning across the timeline and you're checking somebody's video out there on the 405, and literally the fire it looks like it could engulf them at any moment. So you're like, yeah, can I call out? Why, have you seen outside? Ye cariminy, as we're all still recovering from that unbelievably violent game, Monday Night Football, all of the insane hits. If you stop and you're looking at the Joe Mixon one, about, I think, 36 seconds into the video, just sandwiched. It was a concussion sandwich between the two Steeler defenders. Of course, the very scary situation going on with Ryan Shizer and all of the players watching every team everywhere, thinking the one thought that could very well easily have been them. As football moves on toward what might be a good game this Thursday night between the Saints and the Falcons. Of course, the Bucs, well, they tried, other than that overtime, which we won't talk about. Well, it's the better effort than I think I've seen in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. But of course, song of the day for Sunday has to be Men Without Hats, the safety dance. How about the Dolphins? Thanks to the Broncos getting 2, not 1, but 2 safeties. And dumb, just, excuse my language, I'm sorry, I can't say this any other way, dumbass of the day has to be Marcus Peters from the Kansas City Chiefs. Yes, if you remember when he did the protest that one week, then immediately got torched on the very first play, if not one of the very first plays, absolutely torched. I tell you, maybe, I don't know, pay attention to the game. Well, he was at it again, being very immature. There was a penalty flag thrown. This is towards the end of Sunday's game. And it looked as if he had been ejected because he left the field, because he picked up the official's flag and threw it. He threw the penalty flag, then immediately left. So you're watching, you're going, well, I guess he got ejected. No, he ejected himself. He actually didn't get ejected by the official. Then he showed back up on the Chiefs' sideline, sockless. Wait, what? Well, don't worry about it, because Andy Reid, even though his Chiefs aren't exactly going in the right direction here, suspended Peters' butt this week for the game. Well, you wonder if the original reason that's going to be put down on the roster is immaturity. It's just like, dude, what are you thinking? But I tell you, whole crazy day, a little bit of a break, have a little bit of trickling of some hockey tonight. Good win by the Bolts last night. Get some revenge on the Islanders, bouncing back from that horrid road trip, that pathetic effort in Boston. But they sink the Sharks, and they go fishing and nab the Islanders last night, as it wasn't the usual suspects that came up with the offensive productions, but hey, we'll take it. It's also just showing you how deep this team is, though. You have to do a little bit of little three blind mice, if you can actually tell what that is, for the officials after that elbow that Paquette got, and it's like, oh, what do you mean there wasn't any call? Seriously. But the Lightning made him pay in the way of the scoreboard. But yeah, the best revenge of all is, you have to think as one final thought, that everyone is quickly going to circle that very first Steelers-Bengals game next year. If they don't meet the playoffs, which I don't think is going to happen, I'm going to make a very, very bold prediction here. I think this is the year Marvin Lewis could be fired, and fired maybe even before Black Monday, maybe even in December. Could be like at the end of week 17, Bengals bungled everything. They don't get into the playoffs, and yeah, it's going to be like the whole Mcadoo thing. That was wild, because everyone is waiting, breathless, by the computer, by the tablet, by the phone, waiting for the notification so that, yes, we can all get on with our lives because Ben Mcadoo was fired. Broke about 11:31, the most interesting tweet from Rappaport. Ben Mcadoo tells me he's been fired, because usually it's, according to a close team source, Ben Mcadoo has been relieved of his official New York Football Giants key card. But I just thought that was an interesting tweet. Ben Mcadoo tells me he's fired. Can't get much of a better source than that, can you? Seriously, right. But, right, of course, Jerry Reese, the GM, longtime GM, yeah, he's gone. So, it should be interesting to see what's going on with the Giants following all this nonsense. But, of course, have to toss in this story, as you have to talk about the classic 222. Even though I know it's I know it's a Cosby routine, and I know his reputation has been definitely flushed down the toilet. The Hofstra team beat the other team 222-0, but had something that's pretty darn kind of close here, as a high school girls basketball team won. How did they win? Won by a score of 102 to absolutely nothing. 102 to nothing. Yeah, I think the other team covered the spread, even though I know they probably don't have spreads per se for high school games, although who knows if they change all the laws with making betting legal, since I know all that's being talked about. But kind of crazy. And how did that happen, that the team was beaten so badly when they didn't even score? Well, this was the Brockton High Warriors, and apparently what happened, according to the Great Falls Tribune, was that Brockton's roster was whittled down to just 5 players by sickness and other absences. According to the head coach Johnson, the 5 players were an 8th grader, a freshman who, quote, never really played ball into this year, a sophomore who hadn't played since 6th grade, and 2 other sophomores. None were above 5'7". Brockton went from a full starting 5 down to 4 players early in the second half due to an ankle injury. It trailed 59-0 at halftime and did not even have a second half running clock that could prevent the other team from getting into triple digits. Freud Medicine Lake. That has to be a mouthful if you're play-by-play. Yeah, so the quote, I'm not sure if we even hit double figures in field goal attempts, Johnson said of his Brockton team. Well, good job, good effort, but that's crazy, as we just kind of going through all the catch-up, some of the stories that are out there. As of course, with the whole House of Cards flipping back and forth, House of Cards scandal that happened with, of course, the news with Kevin Spacey, Netflix cutting ties with Kevin Spacey, so everyone's going to wonder what's going to happen to the fairly iconic series. Well, they are going to do a season 6, but of course Robin Wright, Claire Underwood will be the lead feature character. It's kind of interesting how everything wound up, if you're not following the story, that Claire Underwood assumed the presidency after Frances Underwood ended up stepping down, and as the season finale hit cliffhanger area, Claire was to pardon Frances for all the craziness that happened, without getting into the whole plot, because that'll probably take about another 20 minutes. But he was waiting, and he's going, why isn't she going to pardon me? And that's sort of where they left it off. So it's kind of going to be interesting if, in the story, Frances winds up in jail. So, kind of a good series. I don't know, after Frances Underwood actually got to the presidency, and then they had a year where he was president, I kind of think the story in itself jumped the shark, of course. Never mind all of the real-life implications and the real-life craziness and insanity going on after the indiscretion that was revealed. But So I tell you, just I kind of think House of Cards just after about the third season started to kind of get a bit old on the story wise. But of course we go from that to, if you're thinking you're having a frustrating Monday, how would you? Because of course Bitcoin is in the news quite a lot recently. Every time you check your timeline, get set up with Bitcoin, then you have another one, Crypto Kitties or something. And every time you turn around, there's a new crypto this or crypto that. But there was a gentleman who recently, a British IT worker, James Howells, got into the crypto coin economy. This is from complex.com. In its early stages, back in February 2003, he was able to emit 7,500 Bitcoins virtually, because this is something that you do on the internet with a computer and you mine it. I don't entirely understand all of that myself, but it's an entirely virtual currency. And unfortunately, his girlfriend made him give it up. Apparently, his block mining hardware, that's how you mine it, was too noisy for her taste. This was, of course, way before the Bitcoin boom, so it wasn't a huge loss. Howells ended up selling most of his mining equipment for scrap after spilling lemonade on it. Oops. He did, however, hold on to the hard drive housing the key to his digital wallet for 3 years before chucking it in the trash. Boy, insert crusty groan here. Today, one Bitcoin is valued at $11,500, making Howells' 7,500 coins worth a cool $80 million, like Dr. Evil, $80 million, and it's living in some landfill. So when he said to The Guardian in 2013, "Why aren't I out there with a shovel now?" It may have been less of a joke and more of just Howells pondering aloud. So, yeah, that's just one of those, if he kept it. I'm not sure what practical implication that might have had, but $80 million of anything, even as digital currency, you'd be like, ka-ching. Then we go from heartbreak in the dump to, wait, how many back fees are we talking about? Yeah, because you think EZpass, just go up to the toll bridge, you flash the EZpass, flash the card, bump, zup, and you're through. Now, there's apparently a New Jersey truck driver, this from NY Daily News, got busted for blowing through an EZpass toll on the George Washington Bridge. Discovered he owed more than $60,000 in unpaid fees, officials say Wednesday. The suspect, Rigoberto, Rigoberto Cardenas, if I'm saying that correctly, was pulled over after he allegedly drove his 2015 Mack dump truck through the toll lane on the bridge's upper level without paying around 9 a.m. Monday. Cops quickly determined his EZpass account had been revoked with over 532 toll violations and $62,262 in outstanding tolls. Cardenas, 39, of Morristown, was charged with theft of service, toll evasion, and failure to observe toll signs when the owner of the Torito Trucking Company Corp showed up at the George Washington Bridge to claim the truck, one of two in the company's fleet. She was also arrested. That's Fadia Garcia of Rockaway, was charged with theft of service. Ooh, that's pretty bad. You're going there to find out what's going on with one of your employees, and you get arrested yourself. So that's kind of absolutely crazy, and we have to, of course, revisit the other story of the Waffle House. This is in Columbia, South Carolina, where some early time in the morning, I forget the exact time, where an inebriated customer ended up walking in, found all of the staff was asleep. So he just went behind the grill and he made his own meal. And that apparently got at least one person from that particular Waffle House suspended, you'd think. I would think all of them would be suspended then, if since the inebriated gentleman can cook, hire him. So, crazy. And I'll tell you what, folks, can we stop as we wind things down to a halt, can we stop with the Buccaneers are still alive stories? Because it's, last week you had the Buccaneers still had a 0.2% chance 2 times out of 1,000 situations that the Bucs would actually get in the playoffs, and yeah, we're still doing it that if the Bucs have to win basically they have to run the table. That ain't happening. Bucs have to run the table, and then you have this one has to win, this one has to win. It just guys, I know you have to find stuff to write about, you have to fill airtime, but can we please just stop it? Stop it. It's like the Simpsons quote, stop it, stop it. The playoff hopes are dead. Stop it, they're dead. So, crazy. And looks like Saturday morning could possibly, I'm not sure how much confidence you put in the CMC and NOM forecast models, but Saturday morning could be a little bit on the stormy side as we have the slightly cool weather coming in for the weekend here. But that's just me zipping around, boom, bang, bing, back and forth, hoping that your hump day is humping along, whatever that means. But anywho, that's it for me. You're still you, unless of course you turn into somebody else, in which case please seek help immediatamente, unless of course you want to turn into that person. And I am gone with the Schwind, kind of like the Bucs playoff folks. So talk at you next time, and ciao for now. See ya.